Hey guys, welcome to today's episode, and I'm so excited. We have Steven Wright, and he is the king of the gut. All things gut is what we're talking about, and we all know that if your gut is healthy, you are healthy. And so we're so excited to have you, Steven.
Thanks for having me back, Chantel.
For those of you who did not listen to the first episode, you guys need to go back and listen to that. But give us just a little bit of a background of what got you so passionate about the gut and being able to help people in this arena.
Yeah, I've had gut issues since I was born, essentially, and I went through all kinds of really embarrassing experiences in my teenage years and college years, and even after. Lots of pain. I had IBS, and I had a special type of IBS that causes like extreme bloating pain. But I also suffered a whole host of other issues like cystic acne, exercise-induced asthma, panic attacks, anxiety, depression, weight gain. I was probably 50 pounds heavier than you see me now. So I had this whole host of conditions, and I was also like literally farting all the time, no matter what I ate. At one point, my boss basically said, if you don't get this fixed, you can't work here. And so that launched me into trying to take back control of my health, learning about diets and supplements. That led to blogging and researching and writing starting in 2009. That led to going to the Kalish Institute for Functional Medicine. We had a clinic for a little while, and all those things culminated in the fact that when we had a clinic, people were not getting better all the time with the products that were on the market. And so I would write those companies and tell them that their product was bull, it wasn't working, and you should improve the formula by doing A, B, and C. And they would just blow me off. They would never create it. And so finally, a couple of years later, I kind of got pissed and pivoted the company to Healthy Gut now, where we create products that I've always wanted to be on the marketplace that work, in my opinion, better than anything else in their category.
That is hysterical that your boss said, if you don't get this farting issue under control, we're going to have to fire you. So let's talk about what causes people to fart too much.
It's fermentation. Basically, the bugs inside your gut are eating your food before you're able to absorb your food. So if you're farting too much, if you have too much bloating, your bugs are getting a Thanksgiving dinner every day, and you're not getting the nutrients you want to get from your food. And the byproduct of them eating your food is gas. And then that gas has to go somewhere. Sometimes, people burp a lot. A lot of times, most people fart a lot.
What do they need to do to get that farting under control?
Long term, your goal is to be able to handle like normal foods, because a lot of people are farting or bloating to like normal foods like sweet potatoes or rice or vegetables. Like these are normal foods, even corn. These are foods that humans have ate for thousands of years. If you can't eat them without bloating and farting right now, the easiest thing is to stop eating them. But that's a trap. And that's what the whole industry is focused on right now, is this big trap around cutting out foods. But they don't tell you how to go back to living a normal life and enjoying food again and not farting. The way through it to actually integrate it and get back to being a healthier human is to improve your capacity to break those foods down normally and actually absorb the nutrients. So that usually involves supplementation, checking for low stomach acid, low digestive enzymes, things like that. And if you can supplement with those supplements and then eat those foods, you're off to a really good start where you don't have to actually cut the foods out.
Is there certain foods that you would say really cause more people to fart than others? Like, I know I have some family members that when they have dairy, it's kind of like fartsession.com.
Yeah. Well, it's related to which enzymes each individual is most efficient in. So dairy is one of the biggest ones because a lot of people are missing the enzyme lactase in their gut. A lot of people are also missing brush border enzymes, and that's why they fart to sugars and starches. So a lot of people are actually reacting to the sugars in milk and the sugars and carbohydrates that occur in vegetables and starches. And so that's due to not having enough of those enzymes in there.
And so what's the solution?
The solution is to get some enzymes in there. These go away as we age. And so, yeah, you can be healthier. You can do a lot of lifestyle changes to try to be healthier. But at some point, just like our eyesight goes and just like our ovaries and our testes go, you just need a supplement. And so, in my opinion, whole enzymes is the best solution. This is our digestive enzyme that covers all different types of food sensitivities. And it's what I made for myself because I used to bloat really bad from corn, and I love Mexican food. I love tortilla chips, and I'm just not willing to live a life without corn. and none of the products on the market were working for me. So turns out there's like this patented thing that we had to license around minerals and enzymes and how they make them work every single meal. And so that's what Holozyme is. It's the answer for me that I can, not fart all the time and not, make my wife mad when I lay down in bed. So it's what I came up with after, 10 years of trying other people's products.
So go to healthygut.com/Chantel Ray and use coupon code Chantel Ray. Let's talk about Tums. A lot of people are really abusing Tums and are constantly saying they're getting heartburn. And I know for my husband, when he would take heartburn, I would literally when he would take Tums, I would literally like grab it out of his hand and I'd say, no, this is the absolute worst thing that you can do, because the reason why you have heartburn is because you're lacking stomach acid. And then what you're doing when you're taking Tums is it's an antacid. So you actually need stomach acid. Talk about that just a little bit.
Yeah, we've all been brainwashed over the last 3 decades that we have a problem with too much acid, and that is so far from the truth. The actual healthy stomach makes acid that gets down to 1.5 on the pH scale, 2 on the pH scale, something like that. And when you have proper acid, you actually break down all the food you're eating, you neutralize all the toxins and all the incoming particles, and it allows it to go through your system properly. If you don't have enough acid, this really sad thing happens where that food stays in your stomach too long. And I don't know if you, Chantel, have ever left a kombucha bottle in your car in the summer, but don't do it, because what's going to happen is when you introduce sugar and live bugs and heat together, is that kombucha bottle is going to blow up on you, because heat speeds up the fermentation reaction. And so what you have is you have a food sitting inside your stomach, fermenting. That fermentation creates gas. And the fastest way out of your body is through a little sphincter at the top of your stomach called the LES. And it pushes it open. And then you have these hot gases that are coming out, and it feels painful. I get it. I've had heartburn. It totally sucks. But the long-term solution is not to get rid of your acid. It's actually to lower your acid so the food stops fermenting.
And it's not even the long term, the short term. Literally, listen, everybody listen, if you take stomach acid, which is called HCl, if you have heartburn before your meal, take 2 HCl and you will see at the end, you will not have heartburn.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but like if I have heartburn, which it won't happen unless I'm like super stressed or like I eat like a ridiculously large meal that I'm not prepared for, like a tomahawk steak or something, I'll actually take more stomach acid, more HCl guard after the meal while I'm having heartburn to make it go away. It's kind of counterintuitive, but what you're saying is right. If you don't have enough acid, you can replace it with something like HCl guard, and you'll actually just naturally break the food down, and you'll stop that fermentation, that hot gassing.
Yeah. So this one is absolutely HCl guard. To me, if you have heartburn or ever have heartburn, or if you ate a little bit too much at your last meal, this is a game changer. You have to add stomach acid to help you digest your food. That's something I would carry in your purse if you go out to dinner. And especially, we have Thanksgiving coming up. So at a big meal, you've got to add that in.
I don't know about you guys, but I am stressed. And if you're feeling overwhelmed this holiday season, then I get it. With all the family get-togethers, it is just a relentless source of stress. But anyway, there is something that I've got called Stress Guardian, and it's actually made by Bioptimizers, the people who make the magnesium breakthrough, which I love, love, love. But anyway, they are literally made this new product. It has 14 adaptogenic herbs, and it just regulates your stress. I just actually took some right this second, and it's awesome. If you go to stressguardian.com/wasteaway and put in waste away for 10% off your first order, it's stressguardian.com/wasteaway. Go there now.
Let's talk a little bit about oxygen, because I'm hearing everybody talking about working out with oxygen and how oxygen is so important. But then I've also seen studies where they're saying, oxygen is good for the rest of your body, but too much oxygen is bad for your gut. Talk about that.
Yeah, so universally, we love oxygen, right? I did EWOT this morning. Oxygen is great for most of your body, except for your gut. Your gut actually needs to be very low in oxygen as far as your body. There's plenty of studies that essentially say the lower you go in your gut, the lower the oxygen concentration should be. And now the reason why is the microbiome, the good bugs that we all want, that we all know, if you don't have enough of them, you're going to get a chronic disease of some type. Those bugs are called anaerobic bacteria, meaning they only work without oxygen. Anaerobic, just like the exercise, anaerobic meaning without oxygen. So literally, it'd be like if we went to the moon without our stuff that we need to live, we can't live on that environment. Our bugs that we want to live inside of us, they cannot live inside of us if we have too much oxygen. And unfortunately, the word is not getting out there that if you take antibiotics, and I mean, who hasn't, right? I'm not saying that antibiotics are wrong. If you're having a life-saving issue, take some. If you have had stressful periods of your life where you've eaten a lot of processed food and drank a lot of alcohol, things like that, all those things are known in the studies to raise the oxygen concentration in your gut, causing something called dysbiosis. If you've ever heard that word, essentially what that word means is you don't have enough of the good bacteria growing inside of you. Now, there's only been a few trials that have actually shown something to help protect the gut against dysbiosis. And those trials have all focused in on one compound called butyrate. It's really cool. It's actually made by your microbiome normally from those good bugs. But when you take antibiotics, you kill off those bugs, you lower the butyrate, and the oxygen goes to the roof, and then they can't grow.
When you say butyrate, is it that's something I think a lot of people have not heard about. Tell us exactly how you even make that product.
Yeah, we can't make it. That's the crazy thing. We are totally dependent on our microbes, our microbiome to make it for us. So when we eat, like grandma always said, eat your vegetables. All the people out on the internet or the experts or the scientists say, eat your vegetables. One of the reasons why is that those vegetables, all those brightly colored compounds, whether it's greens or oranges or reds, those are polyphenols, and those polyphenols feed your gut bacteria. There's also other parts and other fibers and other prebiotics inside of your vegetables, but they feed your microbiome, and that microbiome turns that vegetable matter into different metabolites. And one of the most important is butyrate. So basically, we eat stuff that's good for us and good for them. They take what's left over and turn it into short chain fatty acids, one of which the most important one is butyrate. And this butyrate is what actually keeps the oxygen low inside your gut. You need butyrate for your colonocytes. Those are the cells in your colon, but also the cells inside your small intestine like it as well. And they prefer beta oxidation metabolism. That means they want butyrate and they want oxygen, and that's their metabolism. If they don't have it, they'll do glucose metabolism as their backup. But what that means is they don't suck oxygen out of your gut all day long, and the oxygen levels rise inside your gut. Now, the sad thing is that butyrate also is tied to every single disease that's been studied in. So if you are like, hey, I have asthma, well, there's a linkage to low butyrate and asthma. If you're like, I have osteoporosis, low butyrate. If you have neurodegeneration, low butyrate. Whatever it is, butyrate seems to be involved in the signaling or the implications of all chronic diseases that we've now found for mankind.
So what is the name of that product?
So we make a product called Tributyrin X. It's the most advanced butyrate product on the market because it's 99.9% pure. No one else is even close to that purity. And then we have a enteric coated capsule. So what that means is it protects the tributyrin or the butyrate through your stomach, and it dumps it into your intestines where it needs to go. We don't want butyrate necessarily in our stomach. It's not super helpful there. And so our Tributyrin X is essentially a way to help replace the lost butyrate from just living normally, and then restart that metabolism, restart that healthy gut. So it's beautiful for you if you have leaky gut, if you have food sensitivities, if you have histamine related issues, or if you just have one of those guts that's not healing, even though you've done every supplement you've seen on the internet.
Speaking of supplements, I do feel like a lot of people are just overdoing it with supplements and bars. They're just, instead of eating real food, they're just eating bars and shakes and supplements. So, talk a little bit about your diet and kind of what kind of real food are you eating, and kind of some things that you've said, I'm not doing this, I'm eating this. And every once in a while, I'll have a little bit of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what people think I eat, but I eat a pretty wide diet. So, I'll have everything from corn to meats and fruits and vegetables to like a Greek yogurt, blueberries. Every day I'm eating. I mean, I love baby carrots, so like I'm like famous in my house for eating a lot of baby carrots. I'm pretty much having blueberries and carrots on most days, or some sort of berry, and then some sort of raw vegetable. I do incorporate some fermented foods, and I try to eat starches. I try to eat other vegetables throughout the day. And I try to avoid, like you said, too many bars and too many shakes. And it's not necessarily that those bars or shakes have like bad things in them. It's actually what they lack. And what they lack is they lack those prebiotics. They lack those colorful nutrients because it's all been processed. It doesn't survive the heat and the manufacturing that it takes to make a product like that. So it's unfortunate. But if you're eating like, a super processed shake in the morning, which, hey, if that works for you, that's great. But then if you eat a few energy bars throughout the day or whatever, a lot of ways, you're not doing that much different than just eating like Snickers bars all day. It is definitely different, but it's also closer to Snickers than it is closer to real food, because real food, the cells are intact. They come with fiber. They come with all this water. Like if you eat more vegetables, you don't need to drink as much water throughout the day. That's how a lot of hunter-gatherers were, like, they weren't drinking all day long, but they were eating vegetables and things like that delivered water along with the food. So my point of view is, hey, if you're traveling, it's better to probably eat some, energy bar or some sort of protein shake or whatever than it is to eat McDonald's or some sort of fast food, right? There's a scale here, and I'm a hedonist, and I'm super practical, and I'm super into convenience. So if I'm on a road trip, you're dang right that I got some, meat sticks, I got some protein bars, I might have a protein shake. But whenever possible, I'm also going to try to find a restaurant where I can get an omelet and some greens, or I can get, a burger without the bun and some sort of vegetables. And I'll even have French fries. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with French fries, as long as your gut can handle it. And that's where I'll be supplementing extra with whole enzymes, supplementing extra with HCl guard, things like that.
Guys, I just want to interrupt for just a second, and I want you to hear Paul Saladino talk about why liver is so important. And if you don't like liver, we have another option for you.
Your ancestors were eating liver. And the reason that this sort of wisdom has been passed down is because liver is very nutritious. It's basically nature's multivitamin. If you look at the nutrients in meat, they're great. You've got zinc, you got B6, you got B12, you got some K2. But if you look at liver, it really complements what's in muscle meat. And there are many unique nutrients found in organs, specifically liver as a powerhouse of these, that are difficult to obtain outside of liver. Like meat and organs are like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're supposed to be eaten together. The easiest way to eat liver is just to do it raw. If you don't want to eat liver raw, you can cook it. But the reason that I like to do it raw is because there are unique nutrients in liver that are probably somewhat degraded when you cook the liver.
This really is like the most nutrient-rich supplements that you can find, and they are amazing. I have tried them. I absolutely love them. So just go to heartandsoil.co, use the coupon code Chantel Ray, and save you some money there. A lot of these different weird biohacking stuff, I mean, it's gotten out of control, I think, with so many biohacking things that have come on the market. And I'm a big fan of cold plunge, and there's so many other biohacking things that I'm a big fan of, but I also think some of it's bullcrap. And so I want you to kind of talk about what are some things that you are a big fan on with the biohacking, and what are some things that you're like, no, I'm not a fan of this.
Well, I think if you've heard biohackers talking about your circadian rhythm and getting in touch with sunlight, that is 1,000% backed up in the science. So I would say, like, if you're going to do any one biohack, get out of bed I don't care if you get up at 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, whatever time, whatever schedule you're on every day, go outside wherever you are, even if it's cloudy or dark, and get the outside light into your eyeballs without sunglasses, without contact lens, without glasses on, because that's what syncs our circadian rhythm. You don't have to stare into the sun. You don't have to like, put your butthole into the sun or anything like that you've read online. You literally just need to get the outside light into your eyeballs before it's been filtered. That is a super important biohack. And I think it's really overlooked because it's kind of inconvenient for us to just wake up and go outside.
Every day, I think you need to get into the cold. I am really big on the cold plunge. I feel like it's made a huge impact on me and my health, and I'm such a big fan of it. And it doesn't matter if you feel like doing it or not, you will really see huge improvements from it. Have you done any of the cold plunging yourself? Has it been good for you?
Oh yeah, I was very heavy into cold plunging back in like 2014, 2015 before it kind of got big, and I noticed it really helps me with my dopamine. Like it really helps me with my discipline, my ability to focus, and anything kind of related to dopamine. So I'm a big cold plunge fan. I don't really have one right now, so it's kind of hard. So I try to always have a cold shower. Um, but yeah, big fan of the cold. Obviously, the hot is good as well. Like if you don't have the cold, try the hot, but they do different things. So I think being willing to play around with both is a really good idea.
Mm. Let's talk about histamines for a second, because I think people don't understand what it is and how it affects your body.
Yeah, so histamine is mostly a signaling molecule that the body makes all day long, every day. Histamine is not the bad guy. It's just like any hormone in the body or any sort of chemical. You want enough of it, but not too much of it. If you have too much histamine, most people think of like seasonal allergies, like sneezing, like eyes are watering, you're gunked up, things like that. But it also is involved with things like car sickness. It's also involved with headaches, ADHD, pain in the body like fibromyalgia. So it's really crazy because histamine is tied into a lot of different issues that we're all dealing with, and most people don't even consider that number one, histamine is an issue for them, and number two, that they could do something about it other than take an antihistamine.
Mm. So give us some examples of how someone knows that they have a histamine problem.
Well, I mean, if you have antihistamines in the house and you're not willing to leave the home without them, like you have a histamine problem. If you have reactions to all kinds of foods, if you have reactions to your environment, like you're reacting to molds or pollens or things like that, you have a histamine issue. If you get blotchy and red after alcohol, usually wine or beer, you have a histamine, you have an overhistamine issue. The other thing is, like you said, or like I said, you have car sickness or you have boat sickness. So anything related to motion sickness is typically also a histamine related issue. So a lot of people have like subclinical histamine related issues and they just kind of deal with it, right? They just deal with their skin. They maybe use a little extra makeup. They just deal with the headache the next day after wine, or they deal with the flush face during wine. But there's products you could take that will reduce the histamine and get rid of that cluster of symptoms.
Mm. So one of my friends kind of said, she's like, you should really take meat. You should really focus on meat, sauerkraut, and pick just a couple of supplements that you need. Talk about sauerkraut though, if you have a histamine allergy.
Yeah, fermented foods are an absolute no-no if you have a histamine intolerance. And that is counterintuitive to a lot of advice out there. Like, I get it. Fermented foods, sauerkraut, awesome for the gut as long as you can tolerate it. But if you can't tolerate it, and all fermented foods are high in histamine, if you can't tolerate it, you're just going to cause extra histamine. And if you have extra histamine, you're going to have a host of those reactions, but it also drives inflammation pathways. So whatever it is you're trying to do, if you're biohacking or you're just trying to live a healthy life, too much histamine will cause you extra problems on the long run. So if you're eating sauerkraut every day thinking you're healthy, but you're not like feeling the greatest, stop eating the sauerkraut for a while. It actually might be that it's creating too much histamine for you, and you might need to do some healing around your histamine, or you might need to supplement with something like diamine oxidase, DIO, because there's actually genetic issues potentially up to 15% of the population won't make enough DIO on a regular basis. And so it could be your lifestyle, but also could just be your body doesn't make enough DIO.
So for that, what is the product you recommend for that?
So we make a product called HistaHarmony. It's DAO, it's diamine oxidase. And again, it's enterically coated, so it's protected from the stomach. So it doesn't get destroyed by the stomach. Most brands are not protected, or if they are, they're partially protected. But what you can do is you can take these DAO capsules right before you eat, and it will help basically extra break down. It's the missing enzyme that actually breaks down histamine. So you can either take it with food, or let's say you're going throughout your day, you're about to jump in the car, your kid has motion sickness or you have motion sickness. You could take 2 or 3 or 4 of them before you get in the car and actually avoid the motion sickness usually. So it's a very universal product. It is actually the product that I'm like, if you don't have this in your purse, if you don't have this in your glove box, if you don't have this in your kitchen, you're missing out, because it's very universal. Even like people who get like really big welts from mosquito bites. Like, you know how some people get these crazy reactions? That means they have a histamine problem. They're not able to break down the histamine their body's making to the mosquitoes. Whereas like myself and other people, we don't get those big bumps.
So go to healthygut.com/Chantel Ray. Use coupon code Chantel Ray for a big discount. Well, this has been awesome. Tell listeners where they can find you and where they can follow you.
Yeah, I mean, the best place to find us is go to healthygut.com/Chantel Ray. All the hub of everything we do happens on our website there. And you know, obviously I'm on many of the socials, but they're all linked from the website. So I would just say go there.
Awesome. Well, you guys stay tuned. We've got another episode coming up in just a few. Bye-bye for now.